Hey, it's Dr. Shante, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Even if you're not watching the news, there is palpable tension in the air. And if you follow any of the headlines on your cell phone, it can feel like the sky is falling. Well, if you are feeling anxiety, in this video, I'm going to share with you my tips for keeping calm in the chaos, for cultivating simplicity, even when it feels like things are falling apart. Keep watching. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Politics is one of those topics that people avoid because it causes conflict and division, and it just creates so much tension and anxiety. At the same time, I have learned that even if you don't mess with politics, politics be messing with you because it impacts and it concerns all of the things that are important to us, like the price of living and the cost of food and access to things like healthcare and education and childcare. All of those things are under the umbrella of politics. And when the nation is divided in the way that it is, I can definitely understand the temptation to avoid it altogether. At the same time, just because you're avoiding it, the people that you're around, the people that you work with, the people in your work meetings are still very much talking about it. And it can definitely raise your hackles. It can definitely make you feel like there's no escape from it. So I specifically want to cover the things that I have found helpful in this current political climate to find peace and calm and not live on high alert. The first thing I want to recommend is something called tactile therapy. So if you have ever heard the phrase, you need to touch grass, tactile therapy is all about getting your cues from your environment. It is therapeutic and it is calming to actually go outside, to actually breathe fresh air, to take a walk, to hit your local bike path, because nature has its own circadian rhythm. It has a rhythm that has been proven to calm the nervous system. When you are feeling anxious, when you are feeling keyed up, when you are feeling angry because of differences of opinion in the workplace or in your family, especially about the political divide and the issues that are currently in front of us, being able to break away from the phone, break away from that digital stimulation, break away from the alerts and the notifications and the family members who are constantly texting you, did you hear this? Did you hear about that? Did you guys see this? Being able to put your phone on do not disturb, being able to silence your notifications because you don't need all those chirps and alerts, and being able to actually go outside and reconnect with what you can see, what you can hear, what you can feel, what you can taste, and being able to connect with the rhythm of nature is very calming for your nervous system, and it's absolutely free. Now, granted, we are in winter. Some of us are experiencing winter differently. So here in Chicago, it's like 50, 60 degrees. It's fake spring. Nobody is really excited yet because it's probably going to snow at some point in April. But if you are in a warmer climate, it is much easier for you to step away from your phone, step away from the television, step away from distractions and notifications and chirps and alerts, and actually get outside and touch actual grass. Something else that I have found really helpful is this slow return back to analog. So once upon a time, I was a major audiobook listener because audiobooks are very efficient. You can listen in the car and suddenly you have a mobile library. You can listen on your morning walk. You can listen while you're grocery shopping. You can listen while you're doing other things. But what I found was that listening to a book while I was doing other things was actually shortening my attention span. It became harder and harder for me to just be still without any sort of stimulation. And so I made a conscious effort and a deliberate choice to retrain my brain for stillness. And so it started with an e-reader. So I started reading books on an e-reader, and then eventually all the way back to good old-fashioned books. I love the smell of books. I'm one of those people. Sorry. But this has also proven very therapeutic because when you are feeling anxious, when you are feeling keyed up, having things that you can actually put your hands on, things that feel safe, things that feel present, things that feel solid can actually do wonders for your nervous system. Books, vinyl, even though I know we have Spotify and Apple Music and all of these streaming services, being able to actually touch the record, hear the crackling noises of the needle and the sound can actually be very calming. It feels very solid. I have even returned to film photography. So I went digging in my dad's basement and found a Canon AE1, and there's just something so nostalgic and, again, very solid about a technology and a medium that you have to wait for. So if we take pictures with our phone, instant results, like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like the way I looked. I don't like the way I posed. I don't like that. But it's this instant gratification, as opposed to film. You have to wait for it. It is a gamble. It's a crapshoot. And again, it is teaching and retraining my brain to wait for things, that it doesn't have to be constantly stimulated, that it's okay to be patient, that it is okay to just be present and in the moment, and to take more time capturing the shot. Because when you're using film, which is a physical medium, you don't have all of those do-overs because you only have so much film. And so being able to return to things like books, vinyl, film photography, even things like embroidery, knitting, tactile, solid, analog, non-digital things is actually very calming for our nervous systems, because studies have shown ever since the advent of the cell phone and social media, rates of anxiety have increased. Rates of depression have increased. Not to say that people back in the 80s were never depressed or were never anxious, but we were not constantly bombarded with all of this stimuli that is competing for our attention. And especially in a divided political climate, the less that we engage with that type of medium, the better. The last thing I want to recommend is actually something I recommend to my clients, and it is writing letters. Believe it or not, pen pals are making a comeback. People have really started taking the time to just find a quiet place and write a letter. And what I tend to recommend to clients is that they write a letter about some grievance, some issue, something that is troubling them. And the intention is for them to just write it so that they can get it out, but the person never receives it. But writing a letter to an actual person, so a cousin, a friend, a pen pal. So lots of people have struck up these communities with perfect strangers, and just being able to sit down and gather your thoughts and process your emotions and talk about the things that are going on in your life, it fosters healthy social connection, which is something that when you're feeling anxious, you really need. I will always reiterate that healthy social connections is one of the best ways to heal. It's one of the best ways to heal from trauma. It's one of the best ways to heal from anxiety. And so having a letter, getting something in the mail that's not a bill, that's not demanding something from you, that's not prompting you to pay a parking ticket or something like that, is actually quite nice. It's nice to get a letter from somebody. And in this day and age, a lot of relationships are transactional, meaning if you're not doing something for me, if you're not quote unquote bringing something to the table, then I don't want to have anything to do with you. If you are one of those people where people are always calling you or texting you, what are you doing? I need you to pick up this. I need you to go get that. I need you to pick me up from work. I need you to go make an airport run. I need you to get my groceries. I need you to conduct some sort of transaction, but rarely asking, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on in your life? I miss you. Having the ability to write a letter to somebody and have that mutual agreement of exchange of feeling and emotion and connection is actually quite welcome in this day and age of transactional relationship. Bust out the old pen and paper. Actually, once upon a time, I used to have a typewriter. I actually got it as a birthday present one year. I did. But I still am actually excited about a clean sheet of notebook paper or some very nice stationery, envelopes. You can put cute little charms in it, all kinds of things. People have become really ornate and elaborate with these pen pal exchanges. At the same time, it's actually just really nice to have that level of thought, care, and consideration with someone who just cares to know how you're doing, how you're feeling, and what's going on in your life. And so the third thing that I recommend, if you're not doing it already, is to go old school and write a letter. So this is where I will leave you for this episode. I would love to know, what are your go-tos? Drop it in the comments. What do you do to keep calm in the chaos? What are you doing to cultivate simplicity? What are your hobbies? What are the things that you are doing outside of being on the cell phone, watching streaming media, and connecting to all of those digital spaces? How are you disconnecting from digital? Please drop those into the comments. I would love to see your suggestions and the things that you are doing to cultivate peace. And as always, if you like this content, please like it, share it, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.